Okay, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما تعلمنا وزدنا بفضلك علما وتعليما إنك على كل شيء قدير. Okay, we did all this. Okay, maybe we didn't. Let's just quickly read the matan again. So we said, whoever denies the obligatory nature of the prayer is a kafir and he's a murtad, right? And he's given 3 days to discuss his opinion on this issue, and then he's executed as an apostate, as opposed to somebody who just misses doesn't pray doesn't pray out of being lazy, or even doesn't do wudu or doesn't do Jum'ah out of being lazy. Then this person is a Muslim. However, they're going to be executed through decapitation, بالسيف بعد الاستتابة إن لم يتوب, after being asked to repent, but they're not given 3 days. Right? Why? Because they're dying as a believer, right? So if we said they're dying as a kafir, then we would give them 3 days. Um, okay, okay, uh, okay. So as we mentioned last week, if he said things like, "Oh, I've already prayed," we would just believe him, right? So it's we're not asking people to pray. We're not forcing people to pray. We're forcing people to not publicly not pray, right? To not publicly not pray. That's what we're talking about. Um, okay. So then he says Bab al-Janaiz, and this is very important. And subhanAllah, our lives are so busy, but it's very important to get involved in these things. And also, subhanAllah, Leonard was asking me recently about, right, janaza. And this is one of these things that we really can't ignore because people don't know what they're doing. Right. So we have to kind of like step up and be the local imam and be the local mufti and all these things because I remember one community member when I was in California was like, oh, said, oh, I've never done a janazah, like I've never like led it. It's like, well, you better learn quickly because his point was like you don't have the luxury of just not doing anything because there's so much ignorance that you kind of just like have to do these things, right? So it's quite a useful thing to do, and it's a useful thing to just even if you don't want to do it, you will have to do it one day. So like, how do you even just practically wash a dead body, right? Just the practicalities of it, just like slaughtering a sheep on Eid. Like, how do you wash somebody? What do you do, right? So you can learn the fiqh of it, but just like how you actually do it, it's quite a useful thing to do and quite an important thing to do. And it's obviously you learn a lot. So it says it's باب الجنائز. It says يستحب ذكر الموت بقلبه والإكثار منه والاستعداد له بالتوبة والمريض أولى. Right. So it's recommended to continue remember that you're going to die very soon, and to do that much. That is something that's an act of worship, and it comes in the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, "أكثروا من ذكر هذه اللذات." Remember the thing that will destroy all your pleasures. فإنه ما ذكر في كثير إلا قلله ولا في قليل إلا كثره. Right? Never did somebody remember death in a time where they had a lot, except it made the lot little. You have lots of money, but you're going to die. You have long hopes of, I'm going to do this in the future and do that in the future, and then actually I don't have much time. And nor was it remembered in a time of dearth when there wasn't much, right? And now you're going to die soon, so suddenly these are the things you have to do. You didn't have much work, so you didn't have many of these things, right? So this is very important, right? And to remember that as much as possible. So a normal, right? We had last week, I believe, Musa, we were talking about Hispanic culture and the family, right? So the normal person is supposed to be exposed to death on a regular basis, right? That you have lots of relatives and this person died and that person died and this person died and that person died. People are dying regularly. So there's a continue being reminded of death is very important, right? In our weird, kind of like, what's the word? Um, the word is escaping me, like clinical world that we live in, where everything's far away. We don't see animals dying. We don't see food growing. We don't see anything. We're just distant from every single thing. War is done through drones. We don't see anybody being cut up into pieces. We don't see any of that. And we live this life where like death is something far away and scary and shouldn't be spoken about, right? That's not healthy at all. والاستعداد له بالتوبة and to prepare for death by making tawbah. Um, um, okay. والمريض أولى, and somebody who was sick by a better, right? So this in reality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts us through issues in our life where we remember death and we can prepare for it. ويسن إعادة المريض المسلم. So again, we mentioned this last week, the principle. If what you're doing now is not what you want to die doing, then don't do it. Right? If you don't want to, like I'm going to work, and like, why am I going to work? I don't want to do this. Okay, then don't do it. Stop. If it doesn't make sense, if it's not what you want to die doing, then don't do it. Right? Find out what you want to do. What was the last thing you did? Oh, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. The last thing you did was, I don't know, feed the cats. The last thing you did was take the trash out. So no, this is a huge thing. Taking the trash out is a huge thing, not a small thing, right? And so have an intention that I'm doing noble things. The last thing you did was, I don't know, wake up in the morning to go to work, and then you died on the way to work, for example. It's a huge thing, right? So we have to make sure we have meaning and intention in all of these things. And so, but sometimes you might be like, why am I even doing this? I don't want to be doing this ever again. This is a joke. In which case, don't do it, right? Don't do it. So what was the question I asked last week? Should I what? I can remember the question. I'm pretty sure I asked this question. Should I start doing something? I can play hangman. That would be appropriate to the topic. Begins with S and ends in D. Nobody can remember from last week? No, actually, I asked you all, said, should I start skateboarding? Wasn't it in this class? Pretty sure it was this class. Nobody can remember? That's laughing. Nobody can remember.
I couldn't hear the question, Ustaz.
The question was, I asked you, I think last week, I said, should I start skateboarding?
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
you asked it.
that was
Yeah.
this class.
Okay, so let's process it, right? This is a real, I'm not just joking here. It's a real question, right? I actually have a half pipe next to my house, mini ramp actually. So should I do that or not? Let's process, right? This is Farid Dinkle. You are my mirror. Okay, you be my mirror and say, Farid, we're gonna advise you. You are 39 or 38, I can't remember how old I am. One of the two. Should you start skateboarding or not?
Well, it depends. Like, if I don't know, in my ignorant opinion, it depends. Like, if, for example, you're doing it as a form of relaxation, so you could be more present
Hmm.
and your ibadah with your family, then yes. But if maybe you've never skateboarded before, and in return it may cause like greater risk or harm, then maybe averting it to doing another activity that releases and calms the mind is better.
Okay, so you mentioned, for example, something dangerous. So doing extreme sports, right? Like I'm gonna do an ollie off a skyscraper and try and like land on like some of the other building or something like that, right? And so like Fareed died doing like a really dangerous trick. That's pretty stupid, right? Like why did you even do that? Or what did
Yeah,
you died doing like bungee jumping? Like why, right? Like what is that what you wanted to do? You know? So you died going to work, okay? You died. I don't know. There's many things you can die doing, right? It's trying to save somebody. You died. People, for example, died reading, right? I think it was Khalil ibn Ahmad al-Farahidi. He was trying to work out this math problem to help the ummah, and he was really focused. And he walked into a pillar, and then he basically like got really sick and died. Many people were reading and they got hit by horses and things like that, like in the in the street. So you're driving to Jummah and and you get hit by a car. It's like alhamdulillah, But like what did you do? Like what was the last thing you're doing? Like like when they found when they found the person at his desk, there was a YouTube video about cats. Like what was the last thing you're watching? Is like cat videos, like dumb cat videos, and that. It's like, is that what the last thing you wanted to do? You know? So what I'm trying to say is it's actually it's quite right. You're gonna have to have quite an exacting, quite a clear and exacting intention because it's like this is our one chance. And every single moment is your one moment, right? So it's pretty it's not an issue of like, oh yeah, you can just do whatever you want, Like that's okay. As long as it's halal, like it's fine. It's not like that. This is your only chance to do the best you can do, right? And you might not make it, right? And you might not make it. There's no guarantee that the people that we all die as Muslims, right? And so if you just start kind of not taking things very seriously, bit by bit, things kind of get worse, and they get better, and then they get worse, and they get better, and then they get really bad. Like, that does happen. People do leave Islam. Right? So do whatever you want, but make sure that that's that thing. Would you be happy to die doing that thing? Right? ويسن إعادة المريض المسلم حتى الأرمد والعدو والجار والكافر إن كان جارا أو قريبا. It is recommended to visit the sick if they are Muslim. Similarly, even if somebody is armad, somebody who has an eye problem, because not such a big deal, right? So someone has a small deal. Your enemy, al-adu, so this person hates you, right? Still recommended to visit them when they're sick, right? Wal-jar, and the neighbor specifically. Wal-kafir إذا كان جارا أو قريبا. It's similarly recommended to visit a sick person who is a kafir if they are your neighbor or if they're a relative. Otherwise, in principle, it's not recommended to do that. No, it's not recommended to do that. So he says, وَمَنْ رُجِيَ إِسْلَامُهُ, right? And similarly, somebody who's is hopeful, you're hopeful that they become Muslim, right? So that happened, right? The Prophet ﷺ visited that Jewish kid and he became Muslim, right? And he says, وَأَهْلُ الْجَوْرِ تُكْرَهُ زِيَارَتُهُمْ وَقَدْ تَحْرُمْ, right? So he says, as for criminals, Muslims and otherwise, right? Bad people, it is offensive to visit them, right? And it could be actually haram to visit them, right? So standing up, we did that Musa, right, in the Fath al-Mu'in, standing up for people, kissing the hand and standing up for people who are wealthy, right? Venerating people for their worldly achievements, right? That's not something good at all, right? And it's like you don't do that with people who are, an open, this person's like an open sinner. Oh, wow, I'm so proud of her amazing music video, right? It's like that's really bad, right? Like you don't respect people for their sins and respect people who are openly sinful. That's not good, right? Okay, where do we get to? We'll skip a page here. No.
Is it Ahl Jawr, Ustaz? Jawr.
Jawr, yeah. Jawr, yeah. Ja'ir. Ja'ir is a criminal, is a bad person. Like
Okay.
a tyrant. Right. So ribban, to occasionally visit them. So you don't go and start having go and stay with them with the whole time, right? You go and visit them occasionally. This person has been sick. You go and visit them occasionally. وَيُخَفِّفُ, right? And they stay there for a long time, right? Unless there's a practical thing, right? So we also have to understand that there weren't hospitals in the past necessarily, or people don't have family, right? Some people need practical support. Like literally, I've just thrown up. I don't have the strength to clean up the sick or to move the bucket or whatever. So please come and visit me to just help me practically. Like I actually need to go to the bathroom. I can't. I can't see. There's some practical issues there as well, right? So when you khaffif by detail, you should keep it light, right? And he says, وَيَدَعُ لَهُ بِالْعَافِيَةِ إِنِ احْتُمِلَتْ حَيَاتُهُ وَإِلَّا فَيُرَغِّبُهُ فِي تَوْبَةٍ وَوَصِيَّةٍ. right? If this person, you think the person's going to survive, then you say, you make dua, say, oh Allah, cure them, inshallah, etc. Otherwise, you tell them to make tawbah, right? You say, make tawbah, and is there a bequest? Is there something that you need, the rights that need to be given to certain people? Is something that you have that's stolen? Do you need to forgive? Does somebody need to forgive you, right? Do you want me to convey your apologies to anybody, right? All right. وتحسين ظنه بالله, and um, to encourage that person to have a good opinion of Allah, right? Yeah, I know you lived a bad life, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, right? So just let me know now if there's anybody that you've wronged, and I will try and ask them to forgive you or whatever it is. And you make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll be fine, inshallah ta'ala, on Judgment Day. So encouraging to have husn dhan billah. Um, وَيُحْسِنُ الْمَرِيضُ ظَنَّهُ بِرَبِّهِ. Similarly, if you are sick, if you're in a critical situation, you should have a good opinion, right? Now, this is important, right? Is general principle, right? Things go wrong, things don't go wrong, right? Things always go right. So this is the way that the believer thinks: is you've only broken your leg for a good reason. You're only in jail for a good reason. You know, everything is basically working out for you. So you should always have a good opinion. You only did this haram thing because now you're going to make a really deep tawbah from which you'll never return to that thing ever again. So you're always super positive. Excuse me. Right? You're always super positive. ويحسن المريض ظنه بربه. Excuse me. Okay, no worries. ويكره له الشكوى, and to complain. So what does it mean to complain? Okay, what's the difference between complaining and informing? Right? So I tell the doctor I have pain here, and injury here, and this here, and that there, right? And you come and ask me how you're doing. Well, actually, I have this and this and this and this and this. So what is the difference between informing and complaining? Complaining is I'm trying to get you, I'm trying to get sympathy from you, and I'm trying to get you to feel for me that I feel like really bad. I'm trying to get the sympathy, right? That's not noble, that's not good, right? So we don't do that, right? Waki' ibn Jarrah, he said, somebody who is trying to get sympathy and complain to other person is like somebody who has a dirty hand and then they wipe it on the other hand. Like imagine you had mud on one hand and you wiped it on another hand. So why are you complaining and trying to get sympathy from somebody, right, who cannot help you? Why didn't you do that with Allah, right? وَإِنَّمَا أَشْكُو بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ, right? Saying, Yaqub, I'm only expressing my sadness and worry and concern to Allah. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to give those things to Allah. Say, oh, Allah, I'm scared for my life. I don't know what to do. I'm really scared that I'm going to die. Yeah, Allah, I don't know what's happening. What's going to happen to me? I can't do this. I can't do. Yeah, Allah, my back hurts. Yeah, Allah, my toes hurt. Yeah, Allah, my car, I don't know what's wrong with it. It's making this funny sound. Every single problem, you complain to Allah. You don't complain to people, right? Now, practically, you might inform people, excuse me, my car's broken down. Oh, don't complain. No, I'm just trying to tell you my car's broken down and I need a lift. Oh, why are you relying on other than Allah? Habibi, I'm not relying on other than Allah. I'm just taking the asbab. I'm just taking the means, right? So we don't do things to try and get people's emotional, you know, uh, support and these kind of things. That's not good. It's not noble, right? It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you in a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're kind of turning away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by doing that, right? You need advice, right? Like, oh, my back really, really hurts, and it hurts more when I do this. Could you advise me, right? But the condition is basically you see the person as somebody who's dead, right? They're just like it's like talking to AI, right? In a healthy way, right? You're talking to an AI thing like, oh, can you give me a list? Like you know, if you know what AI is, you're not talking to somebody, right? So I'm just asking you, please give me a list of hotels that would be appropriate for senior citizens to stay in this area with these dates, and it does all this research for you and gives you a list, right? So that's how we interact with people, right? That's how we interact with people, is that everyone around us is dead. They don't exist. They are just puppets, right? And you're talking to Allah through these people. That's what we try our best to do, right? As opposed to please so and so, feel so big, feel sorry for me, etc. That's not good. It's not noble. وَيُكْرَهُ لَهُ الشَّكْوَى, right? Important thing to note, by the way, side point, those of you who have been in lessons of tasawwuf or around shuyukh, there's a lot of things that they talk about that on a kind of a higher level, much higher level than the fuqaha, and some things are shared. So here, for example, this is a fiqh book, and it says it is as offensive to complain, right? And it's there also in tasawwuf, they talk about that in tasawwuf as well, right? But tasawwuf is talking on a much higher level, right? And so sometimes it'll be on this it's similar discussion. Sometimes it's very, very different. Like they're just on a very, very different level, right? So in general speaking, don't take your attitude towards the deen from a book of fiqh, and don't take your attitude, your attitudes in general from the fuqaha, because the fuqaha are kind of by default jurists. They're like legal people, whereas the science of tasawwuf is something totally different. It's like the science of your attitude towards Allah. It's a totally different kind of thing, right? So that's just a side point. وَتَمَنِّي الْمَوْتِ, right? And it's also offensive to hope that you die. Like, dude, I'm sick and tired of life, right? So that, if you think about like what is zuhud, like, oh man, I have total zuhud in life. Why? I just hate the whole world, hate everything, right? I just want to die, man, right? That's not called zuhud, right? That's actually the opposite of zuhud, right? That's not zuhud at all. So that's like negative attachment. Like you hate everything, right? So when you have negative feelings, like would you, brother, would you mind to die? Yeah, I don't mind dying. Why? I just hate everybody in my life. I hate everything. Everything's falling apart anyway, so forget about it. Goodbye, you know? Goodbye, cruel world, right? That attitude. That's called tamanni al-maut, right? As opposed to, I'm very happy to die. Alhamdulillah. I'm trying my best. I'm doing everything. Oh, I can die, not a problem, right? So that's unattached. Like I'm not attached, right? I'm only here to do good deeds. If Allah wants to take me, that's fine, right? So that's zuhud. Zuhud is I don't value this thing in itself, right? I don't value this thing in itself. Like who values Zoom? Do you value Zoom? Would you mind, for example, if I changed the Zoom link to another Zoom link? Right? What's your feeling towards Zoom?
No.
Is it A, I hate Zoom, B, I love Zoom, like I'm only here because of this Zoom link, right? If it didn't end in whatever that, what number is it? Like if it didn't end in T09, I wouldn't be here, right? But so that's how you see how our relationship, like that's unattachment. Like it doesn't matter. It's just a tool. I just want to come to the class, like whatever, right? So this is how the believer is with the dunya. It's like, yeah, whatever, right? Whatever. It's not a big deal, right? I don't dislike it and I don't like it. Does that make sense? It's just a tool to do worship, right? Um, وتمني الموت, right? You know, and so تمني الموت is I hate everything. I wish I could die. بلا خوف فتنة في الدين. You say, actually, I do want to die. Okay, why do you want to die? Well, look at this class, right? I remember I was in this class and there was me and there was Badr and there was so and so and so and so, and then so and so left the deen. I was like, whoa. So and so left the deen. I was like, man. And then this other, my brother left the deen, and then my mum left the deen. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm just like really worried for my deen. Like, and then I'm falling into haram things too. And like, bro, I never used to do stuff like this. So you're like, I actually don't want to fall into the haram and I don't want to leave Islam. So you're like, Ya Allah, please take my life now before it gets worse. Right? So that's different. Like that you want to die just because you don't want things to be worse, right? In your deen. And things can get pretty bad, right? May Allah protect us all. Okay. وتمني الموت بلا خوف في الدين وإكراهه على تناول الدواء, to force the patient. Go ahead, Sheikh Mahmoud.
Ustaz, so what does that sentence mean? وَتَمَنِّي الْمَوْتَ بِلَا خَوْفِ
So
فِتْنَةٍ
it is offensive to hope to die unless it is in a situation where you fear that your deen will become weak or you might even leave Islam before you die,
Okay.
in which case it's recommended, right?
Right.
Right. وإكراهه على تناول الدواء, and it's offensive to force the patient to take medicine. So here we have an interesting issue. Is it obligatory to take medicine? Right? So medicine, we will look into as two categories, right? Medicine, which is analogous to food and drink, and medicine, which is not analogous to food and drink. Okay? Medicine that's analogous to food and drink is something that basically normally helps you, right? Like this is standard. Like you have this standard medical problem, and if you take this standard medical thing, it basically always solves the problem, right? So this is going to be obligatory to take it. Like I know that I'm going to die if I don't take this, and this is how it normally is. It's effective. So like not taking it is like killing yourself, as opposed to chemotherapy, right? So should you force a patient to do chemotherapy? So the doctor says, listen, I highly advise chemotherapy. There's a good chance that you can fight this. You can like I highly advise this. Now, so should you force somebody to do that? The answer is no. Do you have to do it? No, you don't have to do it. Like I'm very happy to die. I don't want to go through chemotherapy. Thank you very much. Right? So things that are analogous to like this is just, this is just that you have a particular thing. You need to take this medication every day, right? Otherwise, your heart will stop within 5 minutes. Like this is what happens when you don't take this, your heart will stop within the next 24 hours. That's how it works, right? So, and it's a standard. I'm not a doctor. I can't think of an example like that. But those kind of standard things like that, as opposed to something that may well work, right? At the same time, it is recommended to take medicine, right? Right. It is recommended to take medicine. So in your situation, are you obliged to do chemotherapy? No. Is it recommended to do chemotherapy? By default, yes. Right? It's like, hey, you've got a 60% chance of surviving, do it. Right? It is recommended to do that, right? But it's not obligatory.
Consumption of multivitamin?
By default recommended, right? So you're saying, no,
Okay,
I want to be healthy, right?
got that.
Be
Okay.
healthy, so take multivitamins, eating well, right? There's a lot of food that is makruh to eat today, right? A lot of food, like the fact that we eat a lot of food, right? May Allah forgive us, right? Like there's a lot of things where like, so I remember asking, I'm a major sweet tooth, right? I remember I was talking to this doctor, and I said, 7 dates a day. He's like, no way, bro. He's like, He's like 7 dates a day for somebody who is not an athlete or you doesn't work, you don't work in a field. That's insane. What are you talking about? Right? So, so it's very important to understand that we often think, for example, we think of things as on a very kind of a literal level. Like smoking is bad, but donuts are fine, right? But like, what's the difference between like, let's say 3 donuts a day and a cigarette? Like, is there any difference?
Both are unhealthy.
Right? I mean, is there any difference? Or do you have any doctors here? I don't. I think it's basically the same, right? If you had 3 donuts a day, you're basically killing yourself, right?
They're
Yeah,
both bad.
smoking is worse.
Smoking is worse than 3 donuts a day, really?
Yeah, sure.
And let's say
Yeah,
Smoking.
I think it is.
let's say you had
It's
five.
more.
What if you had 5 cigarettes a day and 5 donuts a day? I think 5 donuts a day is worse than
Um,
5 cigarettes.
no,
They just
Sheikh.
affect. They affect different things.
I don't know. Okay, but
Smoking affects. Sheikh, it's Azhar here. So,
you're a doctor, right?
so smoke. Yeah, sure. Smoking affects almost all the parts of the body. Donut usually affects just the heart and related stuff,
Okay, so
and
what about this?
it can cause diabetes and eventually cause death. But
But
smoking is much more
okay, so
potential.
what if I'm pre-diabetic and I have 5 donuts a day?
Still, smoking is much worse because it kind of it
Okay,
can hurt any part of the
so
body.
now worse. Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm
but it is bad.
pre-diabetic.
Donuts is bad.
Okay, so here's a question, Asad. I am pre-diabetic, okay, and I have 5 chocolate bars a day?
Definitely, it is really bad.
Okay,
But
so now we've got to come
compared
along
to
and say
smoking,
it is not
yeah,
makruh, Habibi, to eat that kind of chocolate. It is haram for you to eat that much chocolate because you just said the doctor said it's definitely really bad. Like you, so so there's a lot of people we live life and it's like I remember a certain stage in my life where I was like working insane hours, and it's like I'd start the day with a Nescafe and a Snickers bar. And it's like basically I am having tons of sugar because I'm tired and you're just living life like that, a regular thing, right? So then I'm gonna have a Coke on top, right? There's people who have like, 3, 4, 5 Cokes a day. And it's like, actually that's makruh slash haram, right? Go ahead, Azhar.
Sheikh, definitely, even 2, 3 donuts a day is really, really bad. Only since you put smoking, I'm just saying it is not as bad as smoking, but it's
Mhm.
really bad, as you said. It's
Yeah, so
definitely
but there's many
will
people,
fall into harmful category.
yeah, so there's
Yeah.
many people who actually live a life where they're regularly consuming really bad food. And it's just that you just know in 10 years, you know exactly where this person is going to be, right? So going to the same point is like, saying, is this, um, is it offensive? Like a lot of food that we eat is offensive, right? So being aware of like looking at the food, looking at one situation, um, uh, living a life as if you were somebody working in a field, right? Like we don't work in a field. You don't have 10, 15, 20,000 steps a day, right? Unless you're a doctor as well, right? Walking up and down. But most people like you sit at a desk, which is very dangerous as well, right? It's like it's one of the most harmful things. Or working at night, right? So people who do 20 years of doing a night shift, right? I think that it's there's research now like, oh, this is actually really bad. Like you shouldn't be able to do that. Right? So there's many things that we should be careful about, and so yes, eat well and trying to find food that's good, and be fear Allah concerning destroying your body, uh, you know, destroying your body with harming yourself, right? If you're forced to something else, right? I literally have no choice. I work in a mine. There's no other job. I have dependents who need the money right now. I have to work in a mine. It's giving me all sorts of lung problems. I work with all sorts of scenarios. That's different. But many people in the world, you actually have a choice. Like you could actually change things, but you don't, right? And that's a major problem. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sheikh Mahmoud.
Yeah, yes, Sheikh. Like regarding the example which you have given, I have related with something else, like the drug addiction on the health and adults, and versus the addiction of digital devices,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the excessive use of smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've seen in one book, the named Digital Deceptions. It says that it gives a research that both are equally addictive.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I think it could be a good example that both things on a different scale
Yeah.
is
And so
could be.
I'm just waiting for the fatwa that smartphones are haram because like
Mhm.
it's so much harm. It's ridiculous. It's like what's more harmful? So I would prefer to my son to smoke than have a smartphone. Definitely, right? Because the smartphone is ridiculous amount of harm on a regular basis. And like so much wasted time. Like how many cigarettes let's say he's smoking 40 cigarettes a day. Okay. That's no way as bad as what you're going to do on a phone. No way. And it's just because it's so common that we look at it as like, oh, it's not a problem. It's like, oh, of course it's a problem. I saw this kid the other day. He was like, he was
Digital
16.
harm also.
And he said, my son who's 10, he was like, oh, like, a 10-year-old shouldn't touch a phone. I was like, 16-year-old shouldn't touch a phone. What are you talking about? Right? It's a very, very dangerous device in terms of habits and in terms of the amount of haram that you're going to look at. It's ridiculous. We're just waiting for the fatwa. And everyone's going to laugh at them, ha ha ha. But, it's like the principle in fiqh is things that normally lead to the haram become a haram. How does a smartphone not normally lead to the haram? Like it normally leads to the haram. That's what it normally does. Yes, if you're very mature and religious, you can use it, right? So we say, okay, this person, this person, this person, but it's a tool, but most of its use is haram, right? And then wasting time. Why is music haram? Wastes time. Why is this haram? Wastes time. Okay, what about the use of a phone, right? So and then all the metadata, all those things. Anyway, so we're going off a tangent, but there's a lot of things that we look at as a shakl, like it has a certain form, like smoking is haram because it's smoking. Smoking is not haram because it's smoking. Smoking is haram because it harms normally, right? It normally harms, right? Something that doesn't normally harm but may well harm is offensive. Something that normally results in harm is haram. So there's certain things that we do in life. It's like, that normally results in haram and in harm. So therefore, it is haram to do that, right? And there could be psychological things. It could be technological things. It can be food. All these kind of things. Okay, khair. Inshallah, we'll move on. So it says. To force them to take a medicine. وَإِنْ حَضَرَهُ الْمَوْتِ, he is now dying. أُلْقِيَ عَلَى شِقِّهِ الْأَيْمَنِ, right? This is resuscitation techniques, Ashar, right? He's put on his right side. You put the person on their right side. Or not resuscitation, but when the person, you're not sure if they're going to swallow, they're unconscious, you put them on the side, right? So you turn the person
Yeah, sure.
you turn the person to the right side. فَإِنْ تَعَذَّرَ, if it's impossible, فَالْأَيْسَرِ, then you put them on the left-hand side. وإلا فعلى قفاه ووجهه وأخمصاه للقبلة. If not, it's not possible to put them on the right or left, then you put them on their back with their head up slightly, okay? And they are in line with the Qibla, with their feet towards the Qibla. So this is an interesting point, right? Generally people don't like to point the feet at noble things. But it's interesting that for the person who is dying and for the person who cannot pray sitting up, they actually pray with their feet towards a qibla. That's what you do, right? The person cannot sit up and face the qibla. So what they do is they lie down on their back with their feet towards the qibla, right? And their head propped up a little bit. وَيُرْفَعُ رَأْسُهُ بِشَيْءٍ, he raised the head with something. وَيُلَقَّنْ, and you tell them, لا إله إلا الله. You don't say. You go, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha. You keep saying it until they say it. Okay, and then you stop. Right? وَلَا يُلَحْ عَلَيْهِ. You don't say it, bro. Hey, Azhar, this is last minute. You gotta say La ilaha illallah, say it. Azhar, say this. You don't start to do it because he's gonna say no. Right? The shaitan might be there. He's gonna say no. So you don't do it, you just do it gently. Say, Azhar, La ilaha illallah. Can you wake up? La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah, until they say it, you hear them say it, and then you leave them, right? May Allah protect us. It says, وَلَا يُقَالُهُ قُلْ, you don't say, right? And a very important thing, this dying is a very dangerous point in your life, right? Dying is a very dangerous point in life. There's one of the early Muslims, he was in the situation, and they were all telling him, say La ilaha illallah. He kept saying, no, and they were really, really scared. And eventually he was kind of out of it, and they said, oh my God, you were saying no to us. I said, no, I wasn't saying no to you. I was saying no to the shaitan. I was in the desert. He says, I was in the desert, it was extremely hot, and the shaitan had a bottle of water, had some water for me. He said, take it and do kufr, and I'll give it to you. Do kufr, I'll give it. And I kept saying no. So I was saying no to the shaitan. So it's a very sensitive time. And it's a very, very sensitive time. And it's a culmination of your life. You led life you've prepared for this moment. You led life in a good way. It's going to be easy. You led life in a bad way. It's not going to be easy. Right? And it could be really, really bad. May Allah protect us all. وَالْأَفْضَلُ تَلْقِينُ غَيْرِ الْوَارِثِ. And it's better that the person who's saying La ilaha illallah is not the person who's going to inherit. Oh, you're just telling me this because you want me to die and you're going to get all my money. No. So it's better somebody else who's not going to inherit the money. Right? Okay. فإذا مات, when he actually dies, غمض عيناه, right? You cover his over his eyes. وشد لحياه بإصابة عريضة, and then you close the mouth with a thick cloth, or like a towel or something like that. ولينت مفاصله ولو بدهن إن احتيج إليه, and you loosen up the joints even with oil if necessary. وتنزع ثياب موته ويستر بثوب خفيف, and then you take off the clothes that he died in, and he's covered in a thin garment, a thin sheet. ويوضع على بطنه شيء ثقيل, and something heavy is put on his stomach, i.e. to push everything out. And it's also recommended, we missed that part, sorry, to recite Surah Yasin to the person who may be dying, right? So the hadith, اقرأوا على موتاكم Yasin, means the person who is dying, right? خير. ويستقبل به قبلة, you turn him so he's now facing the Qibla. ويتولى جميع ذلك أرفق محارمه به, and those closest to him, the people who are emotionally closest to him of his relatives, of the mahrams, those are the people who should be doing that. ويدعى له, when you make dua for him. Okay, so here it mentions, so it said المتحد معه ذكورة وأنوثة. So if it's a male should do it. If it's a female, then a female should do it. Right. And similarly, you could have a brother doing it with a sister, etc. But that's not the best thing. بل بحث الأذرعي جوازه لأجنبي مع أجنبية مع الغض وعدم المس, واعتمده في الإمداد والمغني وغيرها, واستبعده محمد الرملي. So there's an issue here, is what about having somebody who's not related, right? So we say, well, if you're not going to look and there's no temptation and you're not going to touch, right? So al-Adhra'i, who is this, he was for those of you who remember the discussion that between Imam Nawawi is in the 7th century, right? And then we have up until like the 10th century, there's this refinement. So al-Adhra'i is kind of in that stage in the middle, right? And he said, yeah, that's, if you're not going to look and you're not going to touch and there's no lust and there's no possibility of anything inappropriate, then it's fine. وَاعْتَمَدَهُ فِي الْإِمْدَادِ, and so Ibn Hajar in the Imdad, he relied upon that. Okay, so Ibn Hajar has the Imdad, Sharh al-Irshad. He has Fath al-Jawad, Sharh al-Irshad, and then he also has the Tuhfa, and he also has his Fatawa. Right. So this, if you say it's his position, at least it's one of his positions. Right. اعتمده في الإمداد. والمغني, and Khatib al-Shibini also relied on that. واستبعده محمد الرملي. Muhammad Shams al-Ramli said that's very far-fetched. What are you talking about? Right. And those of you in the class yesterday in the Lubbul, we were talking about Ijtihad, right? Oh, that was this morning. Or it was your last night, right? Who was there? Musa had to leave. Was anybody in the class last night? No? Talib, you in the class last night? In the Lubab class?
Unfortunately not, Sheikh.
No, okay. Anyway, we had the discussion about did Ijtihad ever end? And you can see that here there's no, Al-Adhra'i is he's inferring this from the general principles in the madhab, which are inferred from the Quran and Sunnah. And then Al-Adhra'i, despite his preeminence and he's a super ultimate, he's a mujtahid in reality. He has only so many of his own opinions. Muhammad Ramli says disagrees. So how can you disagree? If you are a mere muqallid, if you're just somebody who's just copying and pasting, how can you agree or disagree? Right? In reality, ijtihad continues to today, and scholars discuss things and agree or disagree, etc. And this is what's happening. Allahu a'lam. So anyway, there is a possibility of that. Allahu a'lam. So is it recommended for the spouse to do that the answer is no, it's not recommended. Right. وَيُدْعَى لَهُ, he should be prayed for. وَيُبَادِرُ بِبَرَاءَةِ ذِمَّتِهِ وَإِنْقَاذِ وَصِيَّتِهِ, and straight away we should try and ask anybody, does he have debts that haven't been paid, any rights, does anybody have anybody over him, etc. And try and have these things fulfilled. وَيُسْتَحَبُّ الْإِعْلَامِ بِمَوْتِهِ لِلصَّلَاةِ, it's recommended to tell people, oh, by the way, this person passed away, this person passed away, and etc. And so, please come and pray for this person. So he says, so basically what does it say? سأل وليه غرماءه أن يحللوا أو يحتالوا عليه. Right? So his family says, please just forgive him his debts, or forgiving him the wrongs that he's done, or whatever it is, or at least have somebody else, okay, I'll pay it for you, or whatever it is. Okay. And if he has a bequest, to do so immediately. He said this money should go to so and so, and that money should go to so and so, etc., etc. And just for our Tullab al-Ilm here, just put a whole discussion. We have discussion in fiqh about what's called Raf al-Yad. Raf al-Yad is selling something, or practically selling something that is not legally property, right? Like selling, for example, alcohol that is being made into vinegar, or selling a dog. You can't sell a dog as an actual sale. So what do? We do something called Raf al-Yad. Raf al-Yad is to relinquish something, right? So here, where does that discussion of Raf al-Yad happening, or it's called Raf al-Yad or Naql al-Yad? Where does that discussion come from? It comes from the Wasiyya. In the Wasiyya, we talk about that. Is that I have a dog, and I say, when I die, I want my dog to go to so and so, right? So that transfer, you can also pay somebody to do that. Like, hey, I have a dog, pay me, and you can take the dog instead, right? Or I have I have all this dung, this cow dung in my back garden. If I die, please give it to my neighbor because, he has cabbages that need it, or whatever it is, right? So you can't sell dung because it's najis, but you could put it in your bequest, and because you can put it in your bequest, you can also pay somebody to relinquish it. Okay, so then it says, in the commentary it says, وَتُكْرَهُ تَرْثِيَتُهُ. Ritha is when you do a eulogy, right? Right? So to eulogize somebody. So, say, for example, every single time somebody dies, somebody has to write a poem. There has to be songs. We're going to pay people to cry. We're going to have this whole, TV program, how Talib Viral changed, the face of Europe, and how he was the most important person in my class ever, and what an amazing dad he was, and what a great father he was, and this and that, and in every single thing. And it's extreme, like it's not even true. Like, we liked him, but not that much, right? But what people do is they do that. It's a fake, right? It's a fake thing that happens, right? So, محلها حيث لا ندبة, right? معها, when you don't say, right? You make a big scene. وإلا حرمت, is haram, right? نعم إن كانت بحق من نحو عالم, right? Nudibat, right? There was a sheikh, right? So this sheikh passes away, and then you start talking about this sheikh, or you talk about this wali of Allah, or this amazing person. Like, you have no idea what this person did for this country. It's really important for people to understand that. Then it's recommended. But otherwise, for the average Joe, it becomes a whole trend, right? He says, وَنُدِبَ تَقْبِيلُ وَجْهِ نَحْوِ عَالِمْ لِكُلِّ أَحَدٍ وَلِأَهْلِ مَيِّتٍ وَأَصْدِقَائِهِ تَقْبِيلُ وَجْهِهِ. Right? It's recommended to kiss the face of a scholar, right? Anybody to kiss the face of a scholar. So if the scholar died, it's recommended to go and kiss his face, right? وَلِأَهْلِ مَيِّتٍ وَأَصْدِقَائِهِ تَقْبِيلُ وَجْهِهِ. Right? And it's recommended for the family of the person who died to kiss that person on the face as well, but not in general. وَلِغَيْرِهِمْ خِلَافَ الْأَوْلَى, right? It's not sunnah to do that. If you're not part of the family, you're not one of his friends, you shouldn't do that. Right? Okay. So subhanAllah, I think it's a very, very important process is to like go through your life, right? And see people in your life, family members. Like if this person died, how would you feel about it? And what would you wish you could have done? You know? Like I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done that. Right? It's a really important process to do, like, you know, and that to inform the way you interact with that person. Right? It's pretty important. Go ahead, Talib.
So you've mentioned that close family members should, it's recommended for them to kiss the deceased. Does this apply to to married couples?
By default, from what I remember, no. So you're no longer a mahram when the person dies. So the default is you should not do that.
Okay.
Let me research it though. Well, you can research it, but I'll try and research it as well.
I remember when I was kid, I was asked to kiss one of my father's grandmother.
Oh, that's good.
Sure.
She's a mahram though.
Yeah,
Because your father's grandmother, that's your great grandmother, right?
yeah.
But here the question Talib asking, what if it was your wife or your husband?
Oh, okay.
From what I recall, is you're not a mahram to them anymore. But I need to double check. Because then also the issue is what about burying together, right? So I'm pretty sure you do. So husband and wife died together. They're not going to be buried together, you know. So I'm not 100%. I need to check it out, inshallah. Okay. Khair. So then he goes on to washing the dead person. So it says غسله وتكفينه والصلاة عليه ودفنه فرض كفاية. So it is a communal obligation that the person be washed, that the person be shrouded, you cover their body, that the person be prayed over, and that the person be buried. This is a communal obligation. If this doesn't happen, everybody is sinful. Now, here's a scenario is imagine if you didn't know, right? I don't know if this person died. Um, it doesn't mention it here. Doesn't mention it, but the other scholars will mention that what if you didn't know? They say, how do you not know that your neighbor died? So I didn't know that he died. How did you not know that your neighbor died? Oh, I just didn't know about it. They say that's such a taqsir that you don't know that your neighbor died, that you're sinful anyway. Right? That's like it's considered like what you have a problem. Like you have a problem not knowing that your neighbor is dead. That means you have such little concern for your neighbor that this thing happened and you're actually sinful for that reason. Here there's a discussion. So what if the person was washed by the jinn? So let's first ask the question, what if they're washed by the angels? Okay. So if they're washed by the angels, that doesn't count. So this person, you were there and like all these people turned up and they're all wearing white and then they came out of kind of nowhere and then they washed the body and then they disappeared. And you're like, oh my God, what happened? And you're like, oh, they were angels, subhanAllah. Does that count? It does not count, right? So obviously that's a huge karama. It's a beautiful thing, right? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And we should share it with people. So in general, anything that good, any miracles, like good miracles that happen to the dead body, you should share it. Any bad things, you shouldn't. For example, you're washing the dead body and the body was crying. The dead body it was in pain. It kept expressing. You could hear it. So things have happened where the dead body speaks to people. You know, so you should share that. Say, oh, actually, when we were washing the body, he was telling us. He said, I'm in the basically, I'm in Jannah. You know, Alhamdulillah, I did the right thing, and this happened, that happened, etc. But the opposite, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't share things like, you know, like wherever we took the body, it was always black. Like there was always this continual, like all the water that came off it was black and it stank. You shouldn't say that. You don't share that with people, right? So you don't say, oh, but it's useful though, because you know this person was a bad person. You don't do that, right? You don't share these are miracles, right? And they are miracles, but it's not a miracle for him. It's an ihana for that person, right? May Allah protect us, right? It's a disgrace for that person. May Allah protect us all. Okay. So أما الكافر فيجب تكفين وحمل ودفن ذي أمان. So what's ذي أمان? Right? So we have basically kafirs we can break into 4 different categories. So you have a kafir harbi, right? Kafir harbi, you're in Gaza, an Israeli soldier, right? What is your obligation towards an Israeli soldier? Nothing. He dies, you can feed the body to your dog, it's fine. You don't have to do anything. There's no obligation there's no ihtiram for his body, right? And that's why they mentioned that in such a situation where there's no sanctity to his body and you would die if you didn't eat it, it would be obligatory to eat it, right? Just like it would be obligatory to eat pork. Whereas for somebody who has ihtiram, right? Like your dad died and you're on a ship and there's no food and there's nothing. The only way to stay alive is to eat your dad's body. You're not obliged to, but you are obliged to eat, for example, a kafir harbi, right? So that's kafir harbi, right? A kafir who's at war against you. Then we have the musta'man. So I'm a kafir and I've come to visit your Muslim country. I asked for permission to come in. You let me to come in. I am now musta'man. I'm now sacred, right? You can't harm me. You can't take my money. You can't do anything to me. I die now. Okay? What's your obligation? You have to shroud me and you have to bury me, carry me to a place to be buried in a respectful way. You can't feed me to the dogs. You can't just leave me in the trash. You can't do that. My body is sacred. Yes, you don't pray over me, and you don't do ghusl, but you do have. My body has to be respected, right? And then we have a dhimmi. So category number 2 was a dhimmi. I am a non-Muslim citizen of a Muslim state, right? I'm a dhimmi. I'm a Christian who lives under a Muslim state. So I'm a citizen like you. And so you also have to respect me, right? And then the 4th category would be what? Can't remember now. There's a 4th category, I think, but it escapes me now, right? So the normal kafir that we interact with, their body is sacred, their wealth is sacred, right? And so you can't, if they died, you do have to bury them, right? We had a question from somebody.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Asad.
2-part question. So the kafir harbi, mutilation does not mean sin, right?
Mutilation of a kafir harbi?
Body.
I don't know. I don't think you can do that as far as I know.
Okay. The second part is, what if the person is taken as a prisoner of war? Does that change his status?
Yeah, because why? They're prisoner of war because they're somebody's property. That's why. So,
okay.
So this person was taken as a prisoner of war. We have 4 options. Okay, they could be executed, they could be set free, they could be ransomed, or they can become a slave. So now they've kept as a slave. So now this is property that belongs to the troops and to the other things that these are divided up into, right? So in jihad, you divide up the tribute, the war, what's it called?
Booty.
The booty of war is gathered together and divided up. So now that's someone's property. You can't do that. Yeah.
Okay, Sheikh.
So that happened. Was it Sayyidina Bilal? Wasn't it Sayyidina Bilal and his master that tortured him? I think it was at Badr.
Yeah, he killed him.
Right, he just killed him.
Yeah.
Right. So, who are we to talk about Sayyidina Bilal? But the point is, in principle, you can't do that, right? Not because he's sacred, but because he's somebody else's property. Right. And I think he paid. I think he paid somebody for it. Like he said, okay, take mine, my person instead, take my prisoner instead, something like that. Allahu alam, right? But subhanallah. Okay, inshallah, we'll stop here and we'll go through these things, inshallah. So that question is important. Is can you wash? I know you're not supposed to wash your spouse, but can you wash your spouse? And are you still a mahram? And then are you buried together? And are you part of those people who's recommended to kiss that person or not? Right? Allahu a'lam. I remember the discussion a long time ago, but I don't remember the answer right now. Inshallah, wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
Jazakallah, Ustaz.
Wa iyyakum.